everyone. All right, today we are going to make some sort of banana, either cookie or muffin. And here's the thing, I have not decided if these are going to be cookies or muffins yet. So we are going to figure it out as we go and decide as we see what the batter looks like. So essentially what's happened here is I have 3 very ripe bananas that I don't really want to waste and that can be turned into something delicious. So we are going to use these bananas to make a creation. Now, like I said, what that creation is going to be exactly yet, I'm not sure. So let's start by peeling the bananas and putting them in a bowl. The bananas don't have to be super ripe for this to work as well. They could be, they could be a little less ripe than these. These are pretty ripe. So we're just gonna put them into the bowl here, and then we are going to mash them up. So let me just throw these in the garbage. So I have a potato masher here that we are going to use to mash up the bananas. And you just want to mash them up until they are kind of like mush, I guess you could say, until it looks like baby food almost, or chunky baby food. So here we go, we're just going to mash them up until they are nice, and I will show you. It essentially just looks like this. So just mashed banana, you're just making it so that it's ready to be stirred in with other ingredients. So once you're done that, we are going to grab some Medjool dates. So I really like using dates as a natural sweetener. It adds a really nice taste and sweetness to your dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure them out into this cup here. These are already pitted. That is very cool. So a lot of times you will buy these and they are not already pitted. So you just have to kind of open them up, take the pit out, throw the pit out, and then put them into your cup. One thing I like to do with dates all the time, especially when you have to pit them, is to make sure that there is no black dust in the middle. The black dust is actually mold, and I find that it actually happens quite often when you buy a pack of Medjool dates like this, that when you open them up, there is a little bit of the black dust in there. All good if you find it, just throw that date out and then continue with the next one. So these so far are looking good. So we're just going to, we're not really gonna pack them in here much. Let's do a few more. I can count these for you as well. I should have done that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do 2 more. We'll do 8 dates. So 7 and 8. All right. And when you put them in a jar like this, that's kind of like 1.5 cups. So 8 dates, 1.5 cups. And what I'm actually going to do now is I have heated some water in the kettle, and I'm going to pour it over the dates to help them like moisten up a little bit. So we're going to stop at 1 cup essentially. So you'll see here, I poured in 1 cup of water over my 8 dates. So my fingers are a little bit sticky now. Dates are sticky, so I'm just going to rinse them here. Yes, dates are very sticky, but very delicious. So we'll just put these aside. Now, the other things I have here, I forgot to show you the ingredients that I have in front of me at the beginning. So let's go through that now. I also have some peanut butter. I have some maple syrup. I have oats, and I have oat flour. So we're going to be using all of these, and then obviously the dates and the bananas, which we've already put in our bowl. So next I'm going to take some peanut butter. I absolutely love peanut butter. It's probably my favorite food in the world. And we are going to put in 3/4 cups of peanut butter. Like I said, I usually don't measure, I just go with the flow. So we're just going to essentially fill up our 3/4 cups here so that we have measurements, and we'll go from there. See what it looks like. So here we go. Let's fill up this 3/4 cups. I will also note that the peanut butter I use is fully natural peanut butter, so there are no added ingredients in it. It's just peanuts essentially. So that is the peanut butter that I like to use. You'll also notice when you do buy natural peanut butter, in case you don't buy it often, the oil will typically separate. So that means that it will be like oily on the top, and then the peanut butter will be on the bottom, and all you have to do when you open it is just stir it with a knife. It takes a little bit of stirring, but then it gets all combined nicely, and then you put it in the fridge and you won't have to stir it again. So just a little tip there. So there we go. We did 3/4 cups of natural peanut butter. Now we are going to add a little bit of maple syrup. And just to come back to the dates for a minute here, I'm letting them soak in this water to help them moisten a little bit and to make them easier to kind of blend after. So we're just letting them sit for a few minutes while we do some other things. So because we are adding dates into the batter and dates are fairly sweet, we're not gonna add too much maple syrup. So I think we're gonna go for, we'll start with half a cup. We'll do half a cup of maple syrup plus the dates. I think that should be good for sweetener. For sweetness, but we'll test the batter once we start mixing everything together to see how it is. So here we go. There is half a cup of maple syrup, and this is just like pure maple syrup. I buy this at Costco. Most grocery stores have it as well, so you can find it there. Awesome, so there is our half a cup of maple syrup. Now, one thing that I actually forgot to grab that is very important, and if you've watched my other videos, you know that I love cinnamon. So let me grab the cinnamon. We are going to do 1 full tablespoon of cinnamon in this. So just find my 1 tablespoon here, and we'll just do 1 full tablespoon of cinnamon. Perfect. Awesome. Cinnamon just adds such a nice flavor, especially when you're mixing with like bananas and peanut butter and dates. Like the cinnamon just adds such a nice little touch to the dish. So now we are going to add our oats and our oat flour. So I want to use both. So essentially, oat flour is ground up oats. So you can literally, if you can't find oat flour, you could take your oats and put them in like a food processor or a high powered blender, and you could make your own oat flour. I like to buy them separately, but these are just quick oats. So we're gonna do, let's do half a cup of quick oats to begin with. And since my half cup is dirty here, I'm just gonna do two quarter cups, which equals half a cup. And looking at this, I don't think that's enough. So we're gonna add a full cup of oats. So there we go. This is how we figure it out as we go. So we've got a full cup of oats now, and now we're going to add oat flour, and I'm actually going to do a full cup of oat flour as well. So we'll grab our 1 cup here. We'll just measure out 1 cup of oat flour and put that in. Awesome. All right, so this is starting to look nice. I'm going to start mixing this up a little bit to see what kind of texture and consistency we're going to get from with the ingredients that we already have in there. All right, so right now, it actually looks pretty good. It's kind of like, you can see it's very thick, which is just fine if we're gonna make, like I said, I still haven't decided if we're gonna make cookies or muffins, so we will decide this as we go. So now I'm going to get the dates ready. They've been sitting for a little while. They're looking a little bit more mushy. And so there's kind of 2 options that you can do with these. If you wanted, you could take like a fork and a knife, like maybe a serrated knife, like a steak knife, and literally chop them apart. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put them into, this is the bowl of just like one of those like smoothie makers, and I'm going to blend them up. Now, our smoothie maker, or it's a Ninja, I believe, is actually in the basement because our 4-year-old is terrified of the noise because it is so loud. So I am going to wisp away to the basement quickly to blend this up, and I will be right back to show you what it looks like. All right, so that was a super quick blend. I blended it for maybe like 3 seconds. And you'll see as I open the lid here, it comes out as this kind of like almost like a date puree, you can see. So it's literally just dates and water. It adds a really nice sweetness and taste to your batter. So let's pour all of this in here. There we go. All right, that looks good. All right, now I'm gonna put this stuff in the sink here. We are going to stir this up again a little more now that our date batter, or our date puree, I guess, is in there. Let's give it a good stir. All right, so this batter looks pretty good. Let me show you here. I'm just gonna stir it a little bit more. All right, so it's pretty thick right now. It's looking a lot more like a cookie batter than a muffin batter, which is fine. Like I said, we haven't decided yet if we're making cookies or muffins. Muffin batter would typically be a little bit looser than this, so these would make really good cookies right now. You could do like this would be more of like a breakfast cookie maybe than like a really like delectable sweet cookie. It's not a peanut butter chocolate chip type cookie. It's more like, yeah, you could do like a nice breakfast cookie with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to grab a little spoon and we're going to taste test a little bit to see if anything is missing from it. So it's definitely sweet enough. It's actually quite good, but I would say that it's missing some cinnamon. So we're gonna add a little more cinnamon to it. Maybe we will add another half a tablespoon. So let's add another half a tablespoon here. There we go, and mix that up. And as I look at this now, you know, I think these are gonna be cookies and not muffins, which is totally cool. If you wanted to turn these into muffins, what I would actually do is just add egg whites. So let me show you here. If you wanted to turn these into muffins, you could easily add this. So this is essentially 2 cups of pasteurized egg whites, and it would probably make it liquidy enough to make into muffins, and it would also help it with the consistency of the muffin. But for now, we are gonna leave these as cookies and make them like this. So these are looking great. Our batter, I believe, is done. So let's pull out some cookie trays. There we go. We'll start with 1 cookie tray here and see how that goes. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I like how I always take out my big spoon and then I never use it. So we are going to line this tray with parchment paper to make sure the cookies don't stick. And because I'm really seeing these as more of like a breakfast cookie, you want it to be like, they're gonna be a little bit denser, but it's very much something that, you know, there's got oats, oat flour, dates, like lots of good things in there. I think I'm gonna make the cookies a little bit bigger than I usually would. So let me show you here. I have these different sizes of essentially cookie scoopers or muffin scoopers. So this is the one I usually use for muffins, and this is the one I typically use for cookies. I actually think I'm gonna do about like half a muffin one for these cookies. So they're gonna be slightly bigger than my typical cookie, but not too much bigger. So we're just gonna go about half. And I mean, you can just grab a spoon and scoop this however you want. That's fine as well. And we'll see, we'll just kind of put them on the tray. Here, we'll start down here. I'll just put them on the tray like this. I'm not even sure you can see that, but here we go. Just try to make them all uniform. The goal here is just, yeah, really to make them kind of the same size. Shape is fine. These are kind of flattening out nicely as well as I scoop them on, so we won't actually have to like flatten and round them with our hands. They're just very nicely flattening as we put them on. These look great. So yeah, these will make like wonderful, like I said, breakfast cookies, or they could make great snacks to grab and go. Lots of options here. So I am just going to scoop 1 tray of cookies here. This might actually make a little bit more than 1 tray, but not much more. Well, actually this about, there we go. We're pretty much down to the end of the batter here. So this has made, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cookies. So that's a good amount of cookies. There's a little bit of batter left here, but not enough to do a whole other tray. So, you know, we could just make a few of the cookies a little bit, we'll beef them up a little bit, make them a little bit bigger. Or, you know, you can also use the small scooper and make smaller cookies. Like, this is totally up to you. This is your customization of the cookie. This is the part where, you know, you get to shine and decide what you want to do. So here's our cookie tray. It's got all the 12 cookies on it. And we're now going to pop them into the oven. You'll notice I have not preheated my oven. I almost never preheat my oven. And we'll just pop them in there for, I'm going to start with 10 minutes and then check them. And then, well, I'll come back once they are cooked to show you what they look like. All right, welcome back. So it has been 15 minutes. I ended up leaving them in a little bit longer. At first I thought it was gonna be around 10, and well, they weren't quite done. So 15 minutes is what it took. Again, depending on like how big you make them, or depending on your oven, like every oven is a little bit different. So it might take a little more or less time. to cook them essentially. So just make sure you're checking them probably around 8 minutes, and then just check them every, I don't know, every few minutes after that to make sure that they're done. So let's pull them out now, and I will show you essentially how to know if they are done or not. And I don't remember if I mentioned this or not. I probably will when I actually watch this, but I set the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and like I said, I didn't preheat it, so no need to preheat, just shove them in there and, and then start your timer. So here are the cookies. Like I said, they just beeped, and so they look nice and done. So you'll see there's a little bit of browning like along the top, and you can easily lift them up and they stay together quite well. And then underneath is just slightly like lightly browned. And so right now these are going to be very moist and very like soft, but as they cool, they will harden. And this is typical for baking with these types of ingredients. As they cool, they will harden a little bit, not too much, just a bit. And these you will obviously keep in the fridge. They will keep best in the fridge, probably for about like 5 to 7 days, and then you can freeze them. They will freeze quite well also. So let's actually cut into one of these so we can see what the inside looks like. Let's just grab a knife here, and so if we'll just pick which one here. You can see this one. So let's just cut into the middle of this, and you can see they're very hot right now, but it's kind of like nice and fluffy, and it's just a really nice breakfast cookie. So I would typically now let these cool on the counter for about 10 to 15 minutes before sliding them into the fridge to cool completely. And then yeah, pack them in snacks or lunches or however, whenever you want to enjoy them. These will make, like I said, a great breakfast snack or whatever cookie. So thanks for baking these with me and figuring out whether they were going to be muffins or cookies. One thing I will mention is if you do decide to turn these into muffins, and maybe this can be a different video where we take this recipe and we actually turn it into muffins. So I know I said you would just add a little bit of egg whites to essentially make the batter a little bit more liquid. The egg whites will also help the muffins rise a little bit and get a little bit fluffier if you whip them nicely. So I would say just add like a 1/4 cup at a time. Don't go all willy-nilly pouring the whole thing in there. Just add a little bit at a time, but we can explore that together a different time. For now, we have beautiful cookies that we've made, so thank you for making these with me and figuring out the recipe as we go. I hope you enjoy. Thanks.